We'll call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Would you please stand for the pledge? Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Here.
Joe Crowell.
Here.
Linda Dansby.
Present.
Joe Machado. Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Tony Webb. Zane Cantrell.
Present.
In Mr. Webb's absent, Joe Crowell will be voting, and we do have a quorum, sir.
Okay, Joe, you'll be voting on all items. Do we have any change in the meeting minutes of the last meeting? Any additions or changes? I'll accept a motion that they be approved. We have a motion on that.
Make a motion to be approved.
Okay, I have a motion to be approved. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
They are approved. Let me welcome each of you to the Board of Zoning Appeals this afternoon. The reason we're meeting on Tuesday, of course, tomorrow is Veterans Day, and all county offices will be closed. We normally meet at 4:30 on Wednesdays. We will ask that those of you that have a request before us come to the podium after our staff has given a review of each item. And after that, we will have a public hearing for each of you to speak on any item that would come before us. We ask that you keep within 3 minutes anything that you need to say. The first item we have is a request by Blaine Burgess, who is requesting a variance for additional accessory structure.
Application 2009-52 filed by Blaine Burgess involves the property located at 7320 Panther Creek Road. It's a 0.79 acre parcel and it's located in a residential 15 zone. Mr. Burgess is seeking variance request to allow an additional 679 square feet of accessory area for a total of 1,879 square feet of accessory structures in the R15 zone. Properties less than 1 acre are entitled to 1,200 foot of detached accessory structure. Because Mr. Burgess already has an above ground pool that is 867 square feet in area and a detached shed, the addition of an 832 square foot detached garage would cause that 1,200 square foot threshold to be crossed, and he is seeking variance relief for this limit of 1,200 feet. There are no conditions of the property that meets the criteria for a variance, but the board can consider language that's included in section 805 of the zoning resolution and is included in your report. While it reviews this case, staff recommends denial. And this is the site residence in question. It does not have a garage attached or detached on the property. It does have the above ground pool and shed in the back. And the applicant just wants to build a garage so he could store his vehicles in at night. Surrounding properties. This is the above ground pool that's located in a rear yard. The shed, 180 square foot. And this is the side yard. And we posted the sign at the property.
Okay. Do we have anyone here representing this request? Please come around to the podium. Do you have any other information you want to add to this request?
Basically, the reason for the garage is I pull a trailer for work, and inside the trailer I have a truck mounted system that has copper pipes that run through it, and then in wintertime they freeze up. The only way that I can prevent this is when it does get cold is run a heater outside plugged into an extension cord, and last year it fell. I guess an animal or something that came by and knocked it loose, but anyway, my equipment froze up and it cost a lot of money to get it repaired.
Could
So,
you state your name for the record?
Blaine Burgess.
Thank you.
And not only that, to basically protect my trailer and the vehicles from the storms and the weather that we've been having.
Blaine, will you have any other operation other than storage in this?
No, sir. It's just for the trailer and the vehicles.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on it. Commissioner, you can come up this way. It's fine. I think, if you can get by there.
Gary Farley, I'm 659 Calvary Court. I'm the County Commissioner of the Panther Creek area. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Burgess and ask you to support him and approve this. I understand the reason that it's been recommended for denial is because of the swimming pool and the outside little storage building he's got. He needs this to take care of his work equipment and lawnmowers and things like that, and also I think of some vehicles. So I ask you to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion on it.
Move be approved.
Have a motion that be approved. Have a second, Joe. Call the roll, please.
Keith?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Zane?
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item is a request by Ramyel Patel, who is requesting a variance for the relief of a fire hydrant.
Application 2009-53, filed by Ramil Patel for the Sri Krishna Pranami Mission New Temple. This involves the site located at 13069 Hoover's Gap Frontage Road. It's a residential 15 zone. They are seeking variance requests for relief from the development standard requiring a fire hydrant to be located within 1,000 feet of proposed development in the R15 zone. The applicant had received site plan approval in 2005. Originally, they indicated that there would be a fire hydrant, and I believe that the applicant fully intended to have the fire hydrant installed. They are near completion of construction of the building, and they were notified by Consolidated Utility District of Rutherford County that the water line running in front of the property could not support the installation of an additional fire hydrant. And upon being notified by CUDRC, they have applied for a variance, and staff finds that it does meet the criteria, indicating that there are practical difficulties surrounding the property, and we recommend approval. And this is the site in question. There's a zoning sign posted at the site. Surrounding areas. This is the temple that's near completion. Additional photos. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, do we have someone here representing this request? If you'll please come around. You'll give us your name and any additional information.
I'm Mitchell Fox, and what this is I couldn't hear what she was reading, but the CUD does not have enough water pressure there. If we put the fire hydrant in, they will paint the cap, and that means you don't hook if the fire department comes out, they don't hook to it. It's not enough pressure there for it. So to me, it's useless to spend this money to put a fire hydrant in when you can't use it. And that building it's almost nothing in it will burn. It's got a firewall in it, and it's a very metal building, and it's very little, if anything, in there will burn.
Do you have any plans for a sprinkler system?
No, the sprinkler system was taken out. I got the letter on that. They had us to build a firewall in there for the.
Do you think that will be adequate, the firewall?
Well, I don't see anything to burn to speak of in that building. It's sheetrock, masonry, stucco, and also the water pressure is not great enough that the sprinkler system wouldn't do much good either out there.
Well, the thing I would be concerned about is what plans they would have in case there was a fire or smoke or something to that nature.
They've got of course, the kitchen has got the system in it for fire, and it's got the portable fire extinguishers throughout. And of course, if they had a fire, I don't know that I'm correct, but don't they have a tank truck that comes with it too?
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. This being a temple, do they have like regular meetings there,
A meeting day?
or a congregation there?
I don't know on that what days they meet.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because I understand you're saying there's not a lot to burn there, but when there's a occupancy load or whatever there, you've got to have some type of fire protection. If there's not going to be and I understand your dilemma with CUD, not saying they have the fire hydrant there to be able to provide the pressure, but if you have any other means, like the chairman asked about sprinkler system or some other type of means, if you're going to be able to occupy this is a very large building.
Yeah,
so there's going to have to be some type of either a fire hydrant or a sprinkler system that's going to have to be addressed, I would think, before this could be occupied.
The fire marshal, state fire marshal, has already let us take the sprinkler system out, and we put the firewall in on that next to the little building that's there. But the fire marshal, state fire marshal, has already let us not put that in. The sprinkler system, it's been taken out.
So you're saying the state fire marshal's office has already gave you a letter that you could occupy this building if you took the... Sir? No, my question is the state fire marshal's office has already gave you
permission to leave the sprinkler system out, and they've got to approve. They approved the firewall.
And you could, if you took those steps, you could occupy this building.
That's all we have to do for the fire marshal. Now,
Linda,
Mr. Fox, just want to be sure that you understand. If we grant this, we are not waiving any kind of authority of the State Fire Marshal Office or the building code for you to meet their requirements.
Yeah.
And if you do meet their requirements, I highly recommend that you take any kind of documents or letters that they have and put it in this record so that we do have a permanent file of their agreement that the firewall would waive the requirement for a sprinkler system or the fire hydrant. Mm-hmm. But if we grant this, we are not waiving you of any responsibility of those requirements. So we want to be sure that we know that they...
Yeah, we understand that. And the fire marshal, in fact, I've got a letter here. I just got it. And Codes Department will have a file. They'll have a copy of it downstairs of all the addendums and all of that that's been done. But the sprinkler system was removed and the firewall was put in. The only thing we're asking is that this fire hydrant, it's useless the way, because the water pressure is not there. And we just asked him not to have to put that in. The rest of it we know we have to do per the state fire marshal, regardless of what y'all tell us.
Are you the builder of this building?
Yes.
How many seat capacity for members do you have in that building?
Now that I don't know. See, this is a Hindu temple, and I'm not that familiar. This service is.
Have you been in the building since it's finished, of course?
I've been in it for the
Well,
last.
do you have seats in there, or do they?
No seats in it.
No seats in it?
No. Their religion is somewhat different from what we're used to. But I've been involved with it now for about 4 years.
When you started this building,
Who designed it?
when you started this building, did CD Water tell you they would put a fire hydrant in, or did you just speculate they would put one in?
No, they just had it. The architect, when they drew all this up, they located a fire hydrant. And then when we started to put it in, CUD told us that we'd have to paint it a different color that the fire department could not hook to. I mean, it don't have the water pressure to do what they need to
So
do.
you're saying there's a fire hydrant there strictly just drained the line
Right.
already there? And
The
you thought
line's there.
And you thought it was a fire hydrant?
But we hadn't located. See, the fire hydrant costs quite a few dollars to put one in. And what we are requesting is not to have to put it in if they can't use it.
Well, let me ask you a question. When did you request it? After the building was built or before the building was built?
It was after, because we didn't know this. See, they didn't tell us before we started the building that the water pressure wasn't there. But see, this is way out. This
Yeah, I know where it is.
Okay.
I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
I move for approval as long as he meets all requirements of the State Fire Marshal's Office in the Building Codes Department.
Okay. We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
I second.
Got a second. Call a roll, please.
Keith,
No.
Joe,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Jerry,
No.
Zane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Narrowly. Okay. The next item we have is a request by Dorothy and Ovian Barrett, and this is a request for a conditional use permit for an accessory dwelling.
Application 2009-54 filed by Dorothy and Ovian Barrett involves the property located at 512 Flat Rock Road. It's a 2.3-acre parcel in the R15 zone. They are seeking conditional use permit for an accessory dwelling unit that exceeds 25% of the principal structure and relief from the design standards for accessory dwelling units for a lot located in the R15 zone. They will be moving a 1,848 square foot mobile home, double wide mobile home on the property. That being said, the accessory dwelling unit would then become, the existing single family dwelling would become the accessory dwelling unit because of its size. It's subordinate to the mobile home that will be moved onto the property. And our limitations indicate for accessory dwelling units by right, they're limited to 25% of the principal structure, 25% of the square footage. The existing structure will be 47% of the size of the principal structure, and that is why they are having to come before you and seek conditional use approval. The structures, the existing structures, site built, it's got a roof with a pitch. It's got tin or metal roof and a front porch and wood siding. The new mobile home will be vinyl siding, have a shingle roof, and probably a slightly less pitch than the existing. Because this neighborhood has a mixture of site-built homes and mobile homes, we found that the addition of the accessory dwelling unit would not be incompatible with the surrounding area or act as a deterrent from adjacent properties developing in accordance with our regulations. The board may want to consider placing conditions that the accessory dwelling is established within 1 year of the approval of the conditional use. The second dwelling shall be occupied in accordance with the Rutherford County zoning resolution, and that in the event of a complaint, the conditional use may be reviewed. Staff recommends approval, and this is the site in question. The zoning sign was placed on the site. You can see the existing site built house on it. That will become the accessory dwelling unit once the mobile home is moved onto the property. The mobile home will be located in this area of the property. It will have to meet the setback regulations for principal structures in the R15 zone. Surrounding properties, just a closer picture of the ADU. And the applicant brought in a photo of the building. She brought in a floor plan of the mobile home, but we did not have any exterior photos or images of the mobile home. However, the written description indicated that it would have vinyl siding and a shingle roof. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay, do we have anyone here representing this request? Will come around, please, to the podium, give us your name and any additional information.
And the reason that we're wanting, I wanted you to know the reason that we're wanting to have it done. Our youngest son is in the military. He's in, and he is wanting to move his family, his wife and his 2 daughters, up there, so that while he's gone to Iraq, they won't be in Laverne, you know, away from us, where we can't, you know, get to them like we should. And as you can see, I'm nervous as I can be. But anyway, but that's why we're doing it. We want to try to help them out, and I guess that's about all I got to say.
The home that's currently there, you all live in that?
Yes,
you and
sir.
Your husband
Yes, sir.
live there.
As of 30 years.
Yeah. So the reason then you would have your son's family moving into the double wide. Mm-hmm. At some point in time, I'm sure you'll be back. What would be your plans after that? Do you have any?
It will remain there.
Okay. And
they
what
will
would,
remain
what
there.
Would you? They will remain
yes,
there.
Yes, they will remain there when he comes back. He deploys in February, and he'll be gone until next December. Okay. And that was what it was.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just want, Ms. Barrett, you live on Flat Rock Road, so I'm just wondering, is the septic office looked at the situation out there, and you think you're going to be able to do this?
Yes, it's already been approved, and where the septic tank and everything will be, and it's all been done.
Okay, good.
It hasn't been done, but it's been approved.
But it has been approved, since
yes,
it's pretty rocky out there, and I wasn't sure you could make. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, we found some.
Any other questions? Thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
I move for approval.
Have a motion to be approved.
Second.
Second. Keith. Call the roll, please.
Keith?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Zane?
Yes.
Motion carries.
My mind's running somewhere else. Okay. Thank you. The next item we have is a request by William Kelliam, who is requesting an illuminated sign. This is for a Church of Christ in Las Casas.
Application 2009-55 filed by William Keith Kelliam for the Las Casas Church of Christ. It is involving the site located at 6402 Las Casas Pike. It's a 9.4 acre parcel. It's located in the R15 zone. They are seeking variance relief to allow an internally illuminated sign located within the R15 zone. The sign will be consist of 2 panels that are illuminated, each of them measuring 2 by 8 for a sum of 32 square feet of signage area. The top panel will be illuminated, will announce the name of the church, and the bottom panel will consist of a 3-line text digital reader board. The applicant has indicated in his application that the message will only be changed on a weekly basis except for the time and temperature, and that the message will not be flashing or moving. In regards to the criteria for a variance, the applicant has not identified any practical difficulties or unusual conditions that would cause the site to need a variance. Staff calls your attention to the language in your staff report in section 20 that speaks to the intent and purpose of our sign regulations. Special attention to 20A, E, and F. We'd like to call your attention to the fact that there is a school zone located directly across, or located at this area, and the sign's placement will be directly across from the school zone. The sign will have capability of moving text, but the applicant has indicated that it will not be flashing or moving. Staff recommends denial of this application. And this is the site in question. You'll see the school directly behind it. Their entrance is just west of the church's entrance. And this is just photos of the site, the new structure that they have just built. And additional photos. This is the approximate location of the sign across from the street from the school zone sign with the flashers. And this is the sign that they are proposing. It will be set on top of a brick base and have 2 brick columns to resemble a monument sign. This is just kind of an example. It's rough, but of what the sign could do and how it could possibly conflict with the flashers on the other side. It has been demonstrated or proven that scrolling messages have a tendency to distract people. They want to read the message to see it in its entirety, but it's not been linked to automobile accidents, but it is proven to be a distraction. So that's why there is a concern about the flashing and moving part. And the sign's location on the site. That's a close-up. And we posted our sign, our zoning sign on the property, and that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please. Do we have members of the church here too?
Yes, sir.
Would one of you come as well?
My name is Verlin Miller, and I'm from Signtronics Corporation. There's one thing you have on there, that sign will be amber color, not tricolor.
Just come on around.
Sir, if you would speak directly into the microphone.
Time, not tricolor.
Sir?
Well,
Okay.
the exhibit that you provided staff indicated that it had red, yellow, and green text.
Okay.
We were only given the information. That's
Okay.
what we were
Okay,
given
just
by
give
you.
us your name and any additional information you have, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Verlin Miller with Signtronics.
Can you speak up just a little, sir? We're not getting you.
Okay, I'm Verlin Miller with Signtronics.
Okay, you may proceed.
Yes.
You may go ahead.
Okay, the sign will be amber all the time rather than a tricolor. In fact, it would be an advantage. My understanding is they found a little boy got lost out there, but if you had that amber there, it would have got the message out a lot quicker. Most of the amber signs that you see around connect with Amber Alert, and the DOT is produced by our company. We produce that. We find out that amber works much better with church organizations. The sign does have the capability to be changed at the periodic time that they decide to change it. It is a remote control sign, and it takes no special wiring or anything like that. Everything that we built We build off of 110 volt capacity. So,
Does this have a timer on it? Will it cut off at a certain time at night?
they can set the timer themselves, sir. It also has a clock and a temperature with it, just like you see at the bank, time and temperature available.
Okay. If you'll come around, give us your name too, sir.
Good evening. My name is Keith Kellum. I am a member at the church there at Las Casas, and the church has been in that community for a long time. We feel like we've been an asset to that community, and we feel like we've always tried to do things that were favorable to the community, and we updated our building there, and we want an updated sign to go along with that. We feel like this sign is in keeping with an updated building, although it is in keeping with the church building. So,
Keith, currently, do you have a sign? Have you had a sign?
We have the temporary sign that was seen.
Okay. Is it illuminated? Is it?
It is not.
Okay. So this is the first time with this type of...
Well, well, the sign we had, we owned the building adjacent to this, and we did have a sign up there at that building, but in the construction process, we had to take it down because CUD had to run some lines through there, so we had a sign that was not internally illuminated, but this is the first one that's internally.
Do you have plans of turning it off at a certain time at night?
We would not object to that if that's one of the requirements for doing that. And I think it will be amber colored instead of the 3 colors that are on there. And the text will not be scrolling. We do have the ability to change that text from inside the building. We'll have a remote, but we're not planning on scrolling the sign up there. So I don't think that would be a deterrent. There are other signs in the area that have script on them, for instance, that are internally illuminated, that just have the changeable letters that you place on them. Basically, the difference in this one is that our letters would be more fixed and be digital.
Do we have any other questions?
Just wanted some clarification. On the sign, I know there was some questions about, it does have the capability of scrolling and flashing, but you all intend to have the message part of it to just be stationary. Is that correct?
We don't object to that. If that's a requirement, we can certainly do that.
Okay. I guess the question is, and I think that's some concerns of the staff here. And right. You got to realize that, I guess for us in the county, I know these are probably going to be a coming thing because it's going to be more economical. Right. So we're trying to, when we really don't have anything on it, so we're trying to somewhat get this right the first time a little bit. But I think the concerns is if you have a flashing sign or if you have a scrolling sign, that may be may take away if somebody's driving. But if you had this sign there and the message you wanted to get, if it was stationary, you would not have any objections to that.
We would not have any objection to that. We would like to have the time and temperature. I know bank signs flash the time and temperature. If that's would be okay, we would like to have that. But
you're talking about if it would maybe show the time and then go to the temperature, then to the sign.
That would be so much flashing, it would just change.
Let me ask you this. I know the chairman addressed it. Would you all have a, maybe say a certain time at night that would go off, or in other words, it wouldn't be going all night? I mean, it being illuminated and the text showing.
That's correct. We have not set a time for that. We thought that you may.
But if we put in a provision or whatever for a certain time, you would not have any objection to that.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda.
Well, I think we need to be clear that the only changing of the time and temperature, it can't flash, it can just change.
That's correct.
In other words, if it's 75 and it goes to 76, it can change, but it can't flash. Is that correct?
Our particular code does not indicate it, but even the agent for the applicant, in most zoning ordinances that address time and temperature, they'll usually assign like a 60-second period as to the speed at which it can change.
The speed,
so for every 60 seconds, the time, well, of course, because it's a minute. I mean, so there you go.
Do you have a standard time? We're just trying to stay as close to our regulations as possible. do you have a standard wait time between the time and the temperature, or are they together side by side on the sign?
Okay, I'll address that for you with this sign, ma'am. This sign, the way it's set up, and they will be able to control it, but anything that has a time and a temperature apparatus in LED signs that's made today, the temperature changes automatically and the time changes by the clock. Now, they can set how often they want that to come onto the sign, so it can be anywhere from 6 seconds up to 24-hour period. Okay, and then when that comes on, though, they can actually set that sign so when that comes on, that sign will be static. So it can be static for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, or 3 hours, whatever. You can actually just, with the controlling in their office for this sign, you can make that sign static for whatever period of time you would like.
So I think what we're trying to avoid is the appearance of flashing. I think good taste and reasonable decision by the church.
Yes, ma'am. You're talking about graphics that flash, like the little lights you got
we
stuck
don't
in the
wanna
little
do this.
places downtown trying to get people's attention.
We don't want to do that. Thank you.
Just one more clarification. What you're saying, I want to make sure I'm correct in this. If the digital part of the sign, if they had whatever message they were having there, it would show the message. I'm just going to use this for an example. You could have it where it would show the message for 1 minute, that would go away, then the temperature would come up, that would go away, then the time would come up. Is that how you're saying that has to be programmed?
It has the capabilities to do anything you want to do with it. It's built that way. That's why, you know, Amber Alert, anything today that's produced in a regular LED message center. Now, there's a difference between a sign and a message center. This is a message center that you can program the messages to do anything you want to do with it. Okay, so if you say you want the time on there and that time changes every 60 seconds, but you only want the time to come on every 30 minutes and show that time will change every 30 minutes. If you want the temperature to change, in fact, when a temperature comes on, depending on the time of the day and the heat of the day, the temperature stays just what the temperature is outside. The temperature is not changing unless you actually set the program to change it.
I think normally when we had the time and temperature up there, we probably would not have a message. We wouldn't have those going at the same time. You know, there wouldn't be a message on there. It would just be time and temperature.
Okay, I'm just trying to get some kind of idea what,
Is that?
you know, if this is approved, how you would have it operating. Yeah.
I don't think there'd be room for all that. You know, it'd probably just be a standard message.
So the time and temperature is not a constant thing. It just replaces the message. Is that right? So we're.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be room for both on the sign. I don't think for both of them going at the same time. I don't think we'd have a message on there because there's 3 lines there, and you would want the message big enough to be able to read it without people having to draw all their attention away from the road. So I don't think there's room on there for time, temperature,
so
and
it's
a message.
and or.
So I
you're
think
either going to have the time and temperature on there, or you're going to have a message on there. I don't know that's what staff understood, and so Danielle, do you have some questions?
Well, with it being a 3-line text sign, we were under the impression that the first line would be the time and temperature that would change every 60 seconds, and then the other 2 lines would be a static message that would remain there for the time period that the board felt wise.
I think
because if the whole sign is the same message, and if you've got the time and temperature, I would imagine then you've got the message changing too.
Right. I don't think that would be the case because I don't think there would be spacing on there for all of that. So I don't think there'd be both of those going at the same time. So the message would not be changing constantly like the time and temperature.
Well, in our research, we were able to find animated graphics for these types of sign companies showing the 3 lines of text, and they did show that 1 line could be static and then 2 lines could be constantly going, and those were examples that, you know, we felt, okay, well then it makes sense. It can't change. He can have the static message, and then the time and temperature would be the only element that would be changing every 60 seconds on the top line.
The message will not be changing every 60 seconds. Because we have a sign now, we change the message once a week on the old sign. the same thing we'd be doing. Except in the case, there are times when there's some interest of the community. For instance, last week, some children were missing in that community. That's a message that we would like to have on their sign. We got it on our bulletin, stuff like that. I don't know if you would make an exception in that case, but we feel like that would be something of interest for the community.
Joe?
Sir, it does have, you've got 3 lines. So you can put the temperature on the left, the time on the right, upper left, the dark area there, and leave the message all down.
That one.
Right there, right now, you have space, top left, top right. This sign table will have a temperature on those corners and time of those corners.
No, you can put a message, you can put the time and then a message and then the temperature, okay? But they won't stay, the time and the temperature won't stay in one corner and the opposite corner, and the message in between changing unless they actually set it to that. With the capabilities of this particular sign that they're talking about in the particular program that this sign has, you can do 1,001 things with it, so to say.
You're saying that right now, because it doesn't care about you have space, not right, not left. Is that sign capable of say the temperature on the right, time on the left?
Okay, what I recommend, and being in the business, and this is what we do, is what I recommend is to put the time first, okay, and then the temperature. In between there, your message, so when the time and the temperature changes, your message can actually be set static. The time and temperature can be set static. If you can set it 10 o'clock, and then you can set the program so it changes the time and the temperature every so often. So the program can be designed to be static, or it can design to be flashing, or designed to be scrolling.
I have a question. Are you saying you put the time and temperature anywhere in that dark area there?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I suggest maybe you put the time on the left, temperature on the right.
That's what most people do, sir. They usually put one on one side, the message, and the other on the other side. And the whole thing could be stationary at that particular point, except the time would change on the left because it's a clock and they're running all the time, and the temperature on the right would change because it has a thermostatic control on the outside, depending on the weather outside. And then the other message would remain static, but the time and temperature is going to change anyway because it's on a clock by itself.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request.
My name is Ernie Huddleston. I'm a member at the Church of Christ of Lascassas and one of the elders there too. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your services here in the committee tonight, and thank you for this opportunity we have to meet before you. There's been a lot of discussion about time and temperature here relative to this particular sign, and while it does have those capabilities, is not really why we're installing this. Quite honestly, the sign that we had to remove in front of the church when CUD came through and uprooted the old sign was providing us an opportunity to put a sign in that can be changed from within the building on the computer and prevent our administrative assistant from having to go outside along with one of our deacons and change the sign in inclement weather and so forth. It's just a new technology, so to speak. It's available to us. We're not looking at having something where there's a lot of flashing lights going on and off in it and so forth. Fundamentally, we want to put Vacation Bible School up when it's Vacation Bible School and leave it up for the entire week, just like we do the static sign that we used to have. If we use the time and temperature, then we'll comply with whatever we'll be asked to do relative to that. But fundamentally, we're just looking at something up there to maybe give the time of the services, let it stay up most of the time. If we got Vacation Bible School, we may put it up or some other event. As we've offered here a few moments ago, if it's as a community service, if it's something that is deemed appropriate that we need to do across there, then we'll be more than happy to comply with something that's requested from the Sheriff's Department or something as what happened this last week. But that could be something that could be coming from the Sheriff's Department or someone like that, if they so choose to use our sign for that particular situation. So the intent is not to distract away from the school, but to, like I said, just to give us an opportunity just to advance our technology a little bit out there relative to our sign. And I've been in that community for the last 50 some odd years, and I guess I'm one of the older members out there now as far as their leadership is concerned, and I think it's just an advancement that's coming into the area relative to the community and our new building, and I think it's an appropriate sign for its intended purpose. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve an internally lit sign with no moving, flashing message other than the time and temperature as it fluctuates. That's the time and temperature fluctuation. But it doesn't move or flash.
As they have designed, as they have described.
As they have described it. I think that's pretty clear. Nothing moving or flashing.
Okay.
Only the time and temperature when it changes.
Second.
Have a second? Call the roll, please.
Keith?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Zane?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Coy Young, who is requesting a variance relief of development standards. And these standards are related to landscaping, fire hydrant, and paving.
Okay. Application 2009-56 filed by Coy Young involves the property located at 7692 Barlow Lane. It's a 1.27 acre parcel. It's zone agriculture services. They're seeking variance relief from the development standards relating to landscaping, provision of a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of a proposed development, and temporary relief from the development standard requiring a double bituminous surface for parking areas in the agricultural services zone. The property was rezoned in August of 2009 from R15 to agricultural services, and application A09A012. They received type 3 conditional use permit, which approved the establishment of a feed and tack store and with related conditions. The applicant has gone through site plan approval, and on the approved site plan indicated the installation of required landscaping, parking, and the fire hydrant. However, he has now applied for the variance, citing for the first for the parking variance, the paving of the parking, he has indicated that he would, just like a temporary variance, that that he would not be prohibited from opening if he cannot get the parking lot paved during the winter months because of seasonal conditions. And so the board may want to consider that. They have considered previous requests for temporary parking variances. The second variance was for the fire hydrant. I have been informed that the applicant wishes to remove this request, although I've not received anything in writing, but just a note. The third variance is relief from the landscaping requirement requiring 45 trees to be planted around as a buffer. And the applicant indicated that they needed to be able to see the building from their home for security reasons, that the adjoining neighbor does not want their view blocked, and that currently there are various trees located along the property lines and on neighboring properties which already provide adequate buffer. The applicant did not cite any practical difficulties for the landscaping variance. The seasonal influences were cited for the parking paving variance, and economic reasons were cited for the fire hydrant, that he would like to be able to open and give the store the opportunity to know that if it's going to succeed or not before incurring the cost of installing the fire hydrant. However, he was notified by CUD that the water line in front of the property can and has enough water pressure to supply the fire hydrant. So, let's see. This is the site itself, and the subject site where the feed and tack store will be constructed. and adjacent properties. This is on the applicant's, he owns the adjacent property. This is his property. Those trees are located on his property and not the subject site of this application. So, the field across the road. And that is elevation that he supplied during the site plan review to show what the building is going to look like once constructed. And this is his approved site plan. You will see the small parking area. You'll see the circles towards the back of the property are the location of the trees that he will be required to plant. So you can see up close up.
Danielle, I have a question. Those trees that are there are not on his property, correct?
That's right. Staff addressed it, and the report indicating this is his property, but it's a separate property from his residential property that has the trees on it. Mm-hmm. All of the vegetation that you're seeing in the photos are on adjacent properties. It's not on the site itself. So we're looking at this as its own isolated development, and ownership of adjacent properties should not even be a factor that's considered, because this is a development on its own. It's a separate zoning district. Agricultural services is a commercial zone. So it could transfer and change hands. And so that's something to keep in mind.
So would he have to put the buffering in if whoever bought it decided to cut them trees down?
I don't think that they could make the site come out of compliance with its site plan. I mean, those are elements that are required to remain in compliance, that buffer. So now, he could cut those trees that you're seeing on the photos that are on the residential property. We don't have any standards for that. So, and we posted the sign on the property. That concludes our
presentation. Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
Where's the neighbors? Oh. Yeah, he needs to state it.
Thank you.
I'm Coy Young at 7692 Barlow Lane. This is my property that we're looking at, and I do own the property adjacent to this site plan. One thing we do need to correct, the trees on the right side there is on the property. That is not the trees in the photo, not this side. That's on the residential side. But those trees there are on the property itself, so that's already a natural buffer. We just feel like if the site plan called out and required us to put too many trees in this area, they're asking for 45 trees. We're not against landscaping. We're going to have nice landscaping around the building. So that's the reason we're asking for this variance, is we just feel like it trees 10 foot apart. I wouldn't even do that up and down my driveway. It's just too close together. Those trees are 40 feet apart. We're actually asking to build a wall around this place, and I would like to be able to see this building for security reasons. We're not wanting to light that up out there. We want it to stay low key and pleasant to the area, to the community. And if I put trees around there, then of course where I can't see it from my home, then I'd be wanting to ask for additional lighting for security reasons. So, you know, I have a letter there from my neighbor. She's stating that she doesn't want the trees, and I think the pictures already show that we have adequate buffering already. You know, if something came up that the property did sell, then at that time I was required to put trees up, and I guess, you know, I'd put trees up. But as long as I own that property, I do not want that. So That's the reason I'm asking for the variance. And I think the parking area is just kind of self-explanatory. We would just like to request that, you know, this wouldn't interfere with our opening of the business because of inclement weather. We would like to go ahead and get that business open, get it started, if for some reason we can't get the parking lot into spring.
Mr. Young, are you pulling your fire hydrant request?
Yes, I understand, even if I get it through the board tonight, that I would have to go through another meeting, and that would postpone me getting my building permit, so therefore...
So that's official.
That's,
out there.
Yeah.
Can you
the
state
landscaping, when this was approved by the Planning Commission, this was a part of the site plan?
Well, yes, the 45 trees
correct?
was part of the site plan,
Okay.
correct.
And you knew at the time that you were not going to be able to meet that standard?
Well, no, I mean, I knew at the time I didn't want to meet the standard that they had on here, but...
Did you say that to the Planning Commission?
I never was given the opportunity to rebut that.
You just have to speak up.
Okay.
It's not necessarily your request, but we have, from time to time, folks who have gone through the planning process, and then they come to us because they knew all up front that they didn't want to meet these requirements.
Right.
And it's going to be very difficult for us to waive these requirements now and in the future of anyone. Now, I do understand your request on paving, but I assume if the business is legitimate and you, at some point in time, you would want to complete that paving.
Sure.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I just want to make sure we got some clarification here, if I'm reading this right and heard what you said. With this right here, I understand in the plat and in the pictures we saw of already the trees there, and I understand what staff says about this being its own lot. But other than Mrs. Cobb, the trees you have and the required buffering are the trees. The other sides of the property you own.
Correct.
So you'd be just buffering yourself.
Correct.
Other than Ms. Cobb, and she's requested saying she don't want any additional buffering. She's good with what you got.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, and I understand what everybody says, but I already see the trees we have there. I don't know why we would require him to add more buffering or more trees if he's just going to be buffering himself. And what's already there, if this neighbor doesn't want any more, I don't know why we need to do it. I don't understand why we couldn't. I understand this was part of the plat when it was approved, but I'm saying, I guess my argument or my point I'm trying to make is there's already buffering there. I know it's requested that he do more, but I don't see why the only benefit it's going to be would be, I mean, more buffering for him. He owns the other property adjacent to it other than Mrs. Cobb, and she's requested that he not do it, so I just want to make that point. I want to make sure everybody was seeing it the way I was seeing it.
Linda?
Mr. Young, that landscape strip there, is that at the rear or the side?
That fence row there?
Yeah, fence row.
Yeah, that's to the side. That's joining my neighbor there.
That's the east side, west side, north side?
That would be that'd actually be the south side.
South side.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on the surface, what is your estimated time to have that done? I'd like to have a more definite time than just spring. 6 months, 9 months?
6 months.
6 months?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other question? Joe?
Will a water company put a fire hydrant in for you?
No, sir. I mean, they...
They have a line big enough to have a fire hydrant.
Yes, they do have a 6-inch line. Okay.
This is a feed store, right?
Yes, sir. Anything? Well, a truckload of feed.
Jerry?
Mr. Chairman, can we make 3 motions on this so we can identify each?
Yes, if you choose to do it that way, you sure
And
can.
Would we, since it was advertised, do we need to, since he's withdrawn the fire hydrant, do we need to turn it down or something to make it official? Or?
Well, he's going to install the fire hydrant, so we really,
do we
do you
need
need us to
ignore
deal
it
with
or
that
make a
since he's
motion
agreed
to
to that?
If he could clearly state it, I don't think it was, he was speaking with you, so if he could state it into the microphone that you're removing.
Yes, I will remove the fire hydrant request. I will install the fire hydrant.
So we don't need to have a motion to address it at all?
No, it can just be custom to the 2 remaining requests.
So probably, do you want to deal, what you're saying, you want to deal with those separately, is that correct? Okay. Anything else?
Not unless there's any other questions.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. You'll come around and give us your name and any additional information.
My name is Mary Jane Henry. Through my family, we've been property owners on Barlow Lane actually since the 1940s. I currently own the property that is across from the Youngs. I'm actually down from them, and my nephew has the property directly across. My concern about this is that when this started, and I'm not going to dwell on this very much, but this was low-density rural community. No commercial zoning, has ever been a part of Barlow Lane. It's a very rural area. Their land was zoned commercial to build this store. And my concern is that because it's in a rural area, it's low density, that we should maintain the standards that were set out in the beginning. And, Mr. Young has been very adamant with his letters that he did not want to do anything that would deter from this rural, low-density residential area. And honestly, putting the trees in would be a nice and I think necessary thing because of the fact that this is not a commercial building sitting in a commercial zone. Remember that this is, first of all, a low-density residential rural farming road. He mentioned the south side, and I just want to say that the lady who lives there, I think, owns her trailer. She does not own the property. There is also other trailers there. That would be a nice buffer for the community. And I'm sorry that she does not particularly want those trees, but across from the property, across the street, there are houses, and it would be a nice buffer for those folks who are looking at the commercial building at an angle that would come from the south side. So I think you need to consider that this is not just on a major highway. And even though there are trees on this property, okay, they're not going to maybe do what they need to do to make make this what initially was set out to be. And I just think that it's very important that the standards be met. This was part of the agreement when he decided to go into this, and I just feel like it's very important that you stay with the standards that were part of this approval, because this was part of having this approved, that all these standards would be met.
Anyone else? That's all right. Come on around. You can come on around here. can be next.
Good evening, Chairman. Evening, Board. I'm H.B. Smith, and I own the property directly across the road from the applicant. And I would ask that you not grant variation relief for these two things. Number one, this was not only in a letter received from the applicant of what he was intending to do, he volunteered to do both of these things. And I think we ought to stick to the standards and stick to what's required. I apologize for my voice. I'd like to address both issues. First, we'll just take the paving because I can understand putting off the paving until the weather cooperates. My fear is that it's put off indefinitely, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. He mentioned fitting into the community, fitting in and having curb appeal, and I think that's part of making this fit in to our area. The way this building sits, and of course the foundation, you can roughly see how it's going to look. The front is wide open, and in order for this not to stick out in a sore thumb or like a sore thumb, I think the landscaping is very critical. Now that the leaves are off the trees, you know, it opens things up and you can see a lot further, and it's visual for longer from a long way. Landscaping has many benefits, not only environmentally friendly, not only does it create a buffer to help things blend in, but there is landscaping for security reasons. You can put in certain types of landscape that deter you know, a break-in, something like that. That's something to consider to change his type of landscape. But the paving I can understand just as long as it is done, you know, at a certain time, very soon. And the landscaping, like I said, it's important also just to keep it from not sticking out and, as the applicant's words, having curb appeal. And thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is a map, Larry. Where do you live?
Okay. May I point it?
This is my central field. Where do you live? My house is 79 6th Road. I come in off Harlow Lane, my driveway. Yes, sir. Drives around back. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Young, and I am in partnership with my husband. I live at 7692 Barlow Lane. I'd like to make one correction that Ms. Henry made. Ms. Cobb does own her property that her mobile home sits on, so she is the owner of the property that joins us that's in question there. Secondly, I would just like to make the comment, the only landscaping that we're asking to omit is the trees that are going to be on 3 sides of the building. 2 sides would be our property, 1 side is Ms. Cobb's property. So we're not going to ask to remove any landscaping on the front, anything that's required there. And then secondly, on that issue, in essence, what the county asked us to plant is cedar trees. And our intentions were to plant something that's very more aesthetically pleasing, such as crepe myrtles, a little better color than cedar trees, because we have plenty of cedar trees as it is. So we're just as far as curb appeal, it's 3 sides of the building which are going to be One side on our driveway, behind the building is the other side, and then Ms. Cobb's side. So I don't see how that would be a huge effect, and we don't object to planting something, we just don't want to plant cedar trees, and then also on our two sides of the property.
I don't think you're required to plant cedars, are you? Did you?
It is a form of a...
or junipers?
You know, our screen requires, it's relatively open. It does require some type of evergreen tree to be planted on the perimeters.
Yeah, I think that would be open to you.
So evergreen anytime.
Okay.
Just for clarification, I want to make sure I understand too. Where you are, where they're requiring, but right now there's already trees and there's already trees there, from what I understand from the pictures.
Yes,
is that
there
correct?
are.
And if you, I want to reemphasize, if other than what you've said you don't want to omit, the only, if by putting those trees there, really the only benefit would be from you all.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question. In other words, the neighbor to the right of you is a mobile home, right?
Yes, sir.
And the lady there doesn't want any trees planted, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
There's already a mixture of evergreen and trees that
And you
lose
have
their
a double
leaves.
line of Bradford pear to the left, looks like.
Yes, along our driveway.
Double line. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. We have a motion on this.
I'd like to make a motion that we, do we, Mr. Chairman, do you want to still take these separate?
Pardon?
Do you still want to take these separate? Okay.
Yeah, that's what we agreed on, so.
Okay. I want to make a motion that we approve the variance for the additional trees or shrubbery or whatever's other than what they
Why don't we
omitted.
take the paving first?
Okay.
And I believe they said, Linda, 6 months? 6 months?
That's good. Okay, then I'll go with that. I'll make a motion we grant a temporary variance for the paving for up to a 6 month period.
Months.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second? Got a second. Call a roll on this, please.
Keith?
Yes.
Joe? Yes. Linda?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Zane?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now we don't need to do anything on the fire hydrant. They've taken care of that. So the next one would be landscaping.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we grant them a variance from the additional trees or shrubbery.
That's on 3 sides and leave the front as is?
That's correct.
Is that what you're...
Other than what she said they had omitted. And like I think I stated, I think we would be requiring these folks, if we required them to do that,
Okay. So that would be leaving then the front landscaped.
Yes, sir.
And the other 3 sides.
That's correct.
As they are. Is that?
That's correct.
I'm not trying to put...
No, but I'm just saying there's already trees there, and there's already the 2 sides that would only I think would benefit them, and the neighbor that's the other side has already admitted that she's good with what's already there. So they still, the owners still said they would do the landscaping in the front.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that we give them the variance for not doing any additional to the 3 sides.
Okay. Is that satisfactory with you guys? Okay. Well, I mean, you understand.
Yes.
Okay. Call a roll, please.
Keith?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Linda?
No.
Jerry?
No.
Zane?
No.
Motion fails.
We have a motion.
I move that the variance request be denied. They did not establish any practical difficulty or hardship
On the landscaping.
on the landscape.
Can you
Okay.
repeat that, Linda?
that the variance request for the landscaping be denied. They did not establish any particular difficulty.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Keith?
No.
Joe?
No.
Linda?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Zane?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, it is approved then, denial. The next item we have is a request by Richard Merriman, who is requesting conditional use approval for a major home-based business, and it's located in the R15 zone.
Application 2009-57 filed by Richard and Tatiana Merriman involves the property located at 1030 Brinkley Road. It's a 1-acre parcel located in the R15 zone. The Merrimans would like to establish a major home-based business at their home at Brinkley Road. They will offer the services of dressmaking and alterations. This will be by appointments only on the days Tuesday through Saturday. They will not have any additional employees for this business, nor will business vehicles be located at the home. And the applicant expects no more than 5 to 8 people a day at the site. This particular business would qualify as a minor home-based business. However, the applicant desires the ability to place a 5-square-foot sign that is attached to the structure so that her clients will know which home or where the business is located, just to alert the people that are already going there to her house. Staff finds that the request meets the criteria for major home-based businesses in conditional use, and that with its continued compliance with the standards of Section 705 and Section 1304F, which are the standards for major home-based businesses and minor home-based businesses. And we recommend approval. And this is we posted the sign at the site. This is the structure that the business will be located. That she's proposing no additions to the property to accommodate the business. And just the surrounding area. It's just a residential community. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay, do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
Hello, I'm Tatiana Merriman, and I'm the owner of that business. And I own my business, Fashion Atelier, in Rutherford County for 15 years. And last 10 years I've been operating in the building, which is on commercial, but it's in residential area on Maple Street, just a few blocks from here. I do see people by appointment only. I don't retail many items, just maybe sometimes shoes, and everything I make on premises. So it's just small dressmaking business. I specialize in bridal. So actually, when my present rental building got sold to the new owner, major renovations needed to be done to this building that I'm renting now. So I looked around to see if anything was available. Also already zoned commercial, and it's just so expensive for a small business like mine to rent something. So we decided to move it into our home. And since I see people by appointment only, I don't think that it's going to adversely affect the neighbors. I know all my neighbors. We've been there for 15 years. Our house is not very close together. It's not like a small subdivision. There is nobody behind us because our property on the back has creek and trees. And we're not planning to do anything with the house to make it look like a commercial building. And as was said, we just want to have a small sign. We plan to put it maybe attached to the house, most likely close to the front door. And it will be very tastefully done because I serve mostly women, and I just want them to know that this is the house. And because my present sign has purple, white, and black in it, we plan to have a small sign with the same color, so it would help me and the customers, mostly customers, to locate me at the new place. And we have lots of trees and bushes around the house, and none of the neighbors really opposed to that. Many of them use my services. So.
Currently, you're operating a business now, is that right?
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, I've been in business over 20 years and 15 years.
And then you're going to transfer this to where you live now?
Right, right, yes, sir. It's a very small business, like it said in the application. The bride requires so much personal time, one-on-one, that if I'm open for 8 hours, maximum I can see a day is 8 people, which I see even at present location, we have only 3 parking spots, and since I see people by appointment, sometimes I have 2 cars because the bride might come with her mom in 2 different vehicles. But
normally, how many people at one time would you visualize being in your shop?
I work by myself, so usually it's just one person. Like I said, the bride might want to come, since it's a bridal dress I'm making, she might want to bring a bridesmaid or mother. They might come in one car, but I do see people by appointment only. There are no walk-ins. It's very small business, but I think this business that wouldn't work very well in a commercial setting, because since I see people by appointment only, I can't be in a mall or somewhere where I have lots of people coming through the store, but it's not the services that I offer. It's not a retail business. It has to be one-on-one. And I think the reason my business was so successful in this building on Maple Street is because it is in a residential area and it looks like a house. If you pass it by, you can see that it does look more like a house than as a commercial building. And I think most of my customers would prefer me to continue that.
Well, would you operate off of a catalog type of business? Is that?
No, sir. I'm strictly a designer and dressmaker. I sell only my own bridal gowns. Yeah. I do not buy them from some company, let them try it on, order, and resell. I don't do any retail of wedding dresses. But you would have material there then for them to inspect? Yes, if the bride wants, I can offer materials, but I do not stock the materials on premises because it's I work on one-on-one basis. So once when I have a customer and they choose samples of fabric and they want me to order 5, maximum 10 yards per dress, then I will order the fabric and it will come to my workroom. And your orders would be shipped to you? The fabric does. It's usually just either flat fold from, just by regular mail, and it fits in a regular mailbox. If it's a bulky fabric, occasionally UPS brings it on a roll. Okay. But it's just, it's nothing, it's like not a commercial business where I'm sewing for some, I'm not operating like a factory. It's just like in old-fashioned way women used to sew from home and people come to them. And it's just, in Rutherford County, you require me to apply. So I did everything according to the book of letter of the law. But, my neighbors, some of them have been surprised that I have to go through this process, but I don't mind if that's what you require.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the old-fashioned way.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I got a question. 2. I got one for Daniel and you too. Do you have any complaints from your neighbors you doing this business?
From my neighbors?
Yes, ma'am.
No, sir, because like I said, most of them are my clients. They wouldn't have any objections.
Have you had any complaints, Danielle?
We've had 2 phone calls in favor of the request.
They were what?
2 phone calls from surrounding residents in favor of the request.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
In the requirements there, she's requesting a sign. That sign, it will not be lit, will it? Okay.
I don't believe that.
No,
it's not allowed to be lit because it's R15. Right?
Okay,
but,
that's what.
The sign itself is allowed under major home-based.
Right. I understand that. I just want to make sure that she understands that can't be lit.
It will be, of course, we will submit, I think we're required to submit the sign before we put it up, right?
Yes, and keep in mind she's only open from 8 to 5.
From 12 till 5 usually I see people, because I have to have time to sew. I can't see people like a retail shop or something. Yeah. But the sign is going to be not very large. It's going to be very tasteful. It's kind of like old-fashioned, kind of in a scroll frame. It's not going to be, I don't want anything ugly because it's for women. Women like pretty things, so it's going to be something that everybody will like.
You make anything for the guys?
If you need a suit alteration, you're welcome to schedule an appointment, and I'll do a great job.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on the old-fashioned business. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Move be approved.
Second.
Got a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith?
Yes.
Joe? Yes. Linda?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Zane?
Yes.
Motion carries.
It is approved. Good luck. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm glad to see all this diversity in our committee.